In this episode, we'll be talking about 5 ways a speaker can leverage online courses.
Welcome to the Online Course Coach Podcast, brought to you by TrueFocusMedia.com. Whether you're a beginner or expert, this is the podcast for the latest in online course creation tips, news, interviews, and ideas. And here's your coach, Jeff Long.
Welcome back to another episode of the Online Course Coach Podcast. Again, my name is Jeff Long, and today we'll be talking about how speakers can leverage their knowledge, their platform, and usually the goal is to help save time by leveraging online courses. Now, these principles do apply even if you're an author, a web designer, a lawyer, or in any other industry, but I want to speak specifically to speakers in this episode. You know, I have a real passion and excitement for what speakers do, and I've worked with speakers for over 20 years. My first gig, even in high school, was working with a speaker and taking their content that was on cassette tapes, putting them on CDs, and helping them sell their CDs. And then in college, I worked with that same speaker, and I put those CDs into MP3s. I would make a website, I would sell them online, and I created a new stream of income. And this was when the web was, brand new. Hardly anybody was selling content online, and he was one of the first ones. And then I've worked with other speakers like Dan Miller and Carrie Wilkerson, and been to speaker conferences and interviewed speakers. I talked with Tom Ziegler and Jane Atkinson and Grant Baldwin, and the list goes on and on. I just love speakers because they're always passionate about the topic they are talking about. And, some of them are in glamorous industries, or they're speaking in front of huge audiences. I think of my friend Kent Julian that speaks to thousands of people at a time and tens of thousands of people every year. He's traveling the country and doing great things. Maybe you as a speaker, maybe you're in corporate training, maybe you're in sales training, HR training, or maybe you're a motivational speaker. I've even had some corporate training experience on my side, working with a Fortune 500 company when I was fresh out of college, doing some training and speaking to generally about 100 to 150 people in about a 2-day window. And I had a lot of fun. So I love speaking myself. I try to speak at conferences, and I really feel like there are some good opportunities for speakers. So if you're not a speaker, if you're thinking, I'm just a fill in the blank, I would encourage you to add speaking, because it definitely opens the doors up for leveraging your information, leveraging your knowledge, and increasing your income. So let's talk about a couple things here. My friend Dan Miller, we're in the same mastermind group, we're good friends. He talks about how to create $150,000 with the leveraging of different types of formats. So let's say you are an industry leader. The first thing you need to do is claim and master your topic. This is something that you should think about. If you aren't a speaker, if you're very, at the very base level trying to think of this, think about what you're experienced in. What do you have prior knowledge in? And I would even say, make sure you already love this topic and you're already learning about it. To me, that's much easier to speak from the heart than just to speak, from a textbook type of knowledge. So choose a topic you already love, and then think about what you've wanted to learn and learn about that. That's how to increase your knowledge. And then think about, what have you been through in life, and what have you succeeded in life? What have you struggled with in life? And those 3 topics alone can be a wealth of knowledge for speaking. So what have you been through in life? How have you succeeded? And how have you struggled are 3 different types of places you can go to look for topics for speaking. And then choose a topic you're willing to live and speak about for the next 5 years. That's from The Millionaire Messenger from Brendan Burchard. He talks about, choosing that topic you're willing to live and speak about for the next 5 years to become that industry leader. So if you're at the top of the game, chances are you have been living and speaking about that for more than 5 years. Now, let's say you are a speaker, and again, Dan Miller talks about this, how to create at least $150,000 And he talks about, let's say you do have a topic that you are known for. Well, you could be a speaker, of course. So let's say you travel around and you make, let's just keep it at a minimum, 20,000, 30,000. It's not a lot of money. But then if you write a book, you can sell your book at the back of the room with back of the room sales. You can package it as part of your speaking fees. So that's more money that you could have from that book. So let's say you even add, 10, 20,000 on top of that. Then as well, besides your coaching and your book sales, you can offer, or excuse me, besides your speaking and your book sales, you can offer coaching. This could be group coaching. It could be one-on-one coaching. It could be virtual coaching or in-person coaching. So let's say you you speak with, to teens. You could have a coaching program. Maybe they want a program that is private, is personal, and it's not online. It's not out for the masses to see. They want somebody that's trustworthy and that they can talk to. And so you could set up a private coaching session with them. And this applies to any industry. This, again, could be virtual, could be in person. It could be weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever type of payment plan you want to provide and whatever type of time you want to provide. And make sure as you're pricing that you're pricing it according, not just based on your time, but based on the value that that person or that group is going to receive. So again, if you start at the baseline with speaking, then add books, then add coaching, and I think you could, have $20,000, $30,000 worth of coaching there. And then if you add some audio and video content on top of that, so it could be CD and DVD sales, it could be MP3 and video downloads, that is something you can do as well. And then fifthly, of course, are online courses. And we'll talk about this more in depth, but I just want to talk about different areas that you can leverage your expertise. It doesn't have to be just in speaking. And for those of you that are accomplished speakers, you already know this. This is, Speaker 101 type of topic, but I just wanted to go over that real briefly. Now, why should you create online courses? Well, it can continue serving your audience after you've left the stage. So if you have more to say, if there's more in-depth content that you want to convey, and you just want to keep serving that audience, an online course is the obvious place to do that. Secondly, it can create residual income. If you have that course, you could have it be a one-time fee. It could become a membership site where you're continually adding content to it. You could create additional courses. So maybe you have a 101 course, 201, 301, 401, just like in college and university. Or you could create other ways of having multiple courses that keeps them coming back for more. And it gives you something else for back of the room sales. If you have an online course, of course you can sell your CDs, DVDs, books, whatever. But if you have an online course, that has more perceived value. So if you can sell it from the stage or the back of the room sales, or even include it in your speaker fees, that is something to consider also. Now, I just said it has a higher perceived value than a book or a DVD series or an MP3, or a CD series or a DVD series. That's because an online course has more access. It's more interaction with you, especially if you're on video and there's downloads and there's even quizzes or, places for them to type in or write down their thoughts. They can kind of pause the video, write down their thoughts, because as you are transferring your knowledge to them, you don't just want them to watch or listen. You want them to think, to reflect, and to take action. And the fifth reason why you should create online courses is it keeps you top of mind. Once you leave the stage, yes, you can have your book. Yes, you can have a newsletter. Yes, you can have other things. But to me, a course is an intimate way for you to be in front of your audience for an extended period of time. So if you have that course, they're logging in, they're watching you, they're listening to you, they're interacting with you potentially. We'll talk about that here in a minute. And then the sixth thing is it builds you as an industry leader. Time and again, I've seen people that don't have much of a platform. Maybe they just go out and speak and they learn, hey, if I have a book, that way I can get in more easily. I can say, hey, I'm an author that speaks about this topic. I want to come in and speak and either, give away my book or sell it at the back of the room. And that's fantastic. But the more content you have for sale, the more it positions you as that industry leader. So if you have multiple books, if you have DVDs and CDs, and then an online course, that has multiple ways for people to learn from you, multiple ways for people to pay you. And then, of course, it positions you as that industry leader. So I'm going to review these 6 things, and then we'll get into the 5 types of courses I think you should consider. So the 6 reasons why a speaker should create online courses. Firstly, you can continue serving your audience. Secondly, it creates residual income. Third, it gives you something else for the back of the room sales. Number 4, it has a higher perceived value than a book or DVD series. Number 5, it keeps you at the top of their mind. And number 6, it builds you as an industry leader. All right, so let's get into the 5 types of courses that you should consider to leverage for your speaking business. And while I don't necessarily recommend that you do all of these 5 are things you should consider. And I've done them from free to middle range to top tier because I think you should consider all 3 of those. So the first thing is a free text-based course. Now, most people, when I talk to them about online courses, they don't even think about SMS or text messages. So I've seen speakers do this where from the stage they say, all right, everybody get out your phones, text this word to this number and I will send you X, Y, or Z. Well, why not make that a course? And yes, you could label it something different. You could label it, your Monday motivational series. And every Monday you send out a motivational quote to your audience. And then you have access to them on their phone, on their text messages. That's very personal, and it's almost more personal than an email because in a way you have access to them and you can help serve them even more. So you could send out simple ideas via text every day or every week. I wouldn't recommend monthly or quarterly. To me, it needs to be regular and ongoing. Now, this could be for 30 days. 60 days. It doesn't have to be long, but I think it needs to be on a regular basis and that the audience knows the value and knows the content of what they're going to get. Because like I said, a text message is intimate. It is personal. So you don't want to just say, oh, sign up for my free something or other and shoot me a text because you won't get very many people. They won't be as excited and it won't be something that they want to open or they want to take the time to read. The second type of course is also a free course, but I would call it more of a traditional online course. I would call it a mini course. And this is something you could have on your website to help people sign up. It used to be, hey, sign up for my newsletter or sign up for this. Most people aren't signing up for that anymore, but a free mini course is something that provides tremendous value. I've worked with Carrie Wilkerson. She's the author of The Barefoot Executive and a fantastic speaker. She has a free 7-day business blitz series that walks viewers how to be more productive. And I filmed this with her. She flew up to Columbus, Ohio, which is near me, and we spent all day filming a bunch of videos. But this free 7-day business blitz series was part of what we filmed that day. And it's amazing. I've gone through it several times. It's for her to share her wisdom on what she does. She has a lot on her plate. She's very successful. And, it's not like she has an easy life. She has, kids and family and responsibilities and she gets a lot done. So if you go to carriewilkerson.com/7-day blitz, you can sign up for that, check out those videos and see what I'm talking about. And I've seen these, a lot. I've created these myself for clients, as well as seen other people leverage the power of a free mini course because it has a high perceived value, and it's easy for people to go through. Carrie's is 7 days, maybe yours is 3 lessons, but it could be something that is very easy to move through and has a high perceived value. Now, the third type of course is something that is more of it's a paid course, but it's on the cheaper side. So think about having a cheaper paid course that fills in the gaps to your talk. So think about it as an expanded version of your talk. So let's say your talk is an hour or even 30 minutes. There's only so much you can get into that talk. What if you could fill in the gaps and have a 5 series or a 5 chapter, 5 module course where you explain more in depth? And this will work tremendously if you're in corporate training, if you're in motivational talks, or whatever you're in. This is something you could definitely use. Now, with any of these courses, especially with the video-based courses, make sure that your video courses or video content isn't really long. So let's say it is a 5 module course. Make sure that each video is about 12 minutes or less. Okay, I'm not talking about, a 5 module course and each module is 1 hour. Not at all. Even for your top tier courses, I don't recommend having, hours and hours and hours of content. And we'll talk about how to sweeten the pot, even for your top tier courses, to make it valuable, but not overwhelming. So again, have a cheaper paid course that fills in the gaps to your talk. Could be an expanded version. Maybe you do talk for 30 minutes. Maybe you offer additional content within that course. So that could be more stories, more application, as well as other ways to provide value in that course. All right, the fourth type of course you could consider is a middle range priced course. And this could be something that's a brand new concept, but within the same overall topic as your talk. So think of it as a sequel in a movie. So if your talk on stage is about topic 1, maybe your course is about topic 2, but it's in the same realm as your talk. So if your specialty is weight loss or motivation to teenagers or how to turn weeders into leaders. My friend Jeff McManus is a speaker, and he has some fantastic stories of how to take people that are not necessarily highly motivated and turn them into leaders that are self-motivated and get the job done. And so think about how you could create courses that are within the realm of your expertise, but maybe a different lane or a different topic or a different type of version of what you're talking about. So again, think of it as a sequel in a movie, if that helps you. All right, so let's review the first 4 here. The first one is a text-based course that is free, and you might send that out daily, weekly, or for a short period of time. The second one is a free mini course that you could offer. I recommend video-based courses because it offers the most value, and you're going to have the most signups because of it. But it could be email-based. It could be an email drip. It could be audio content. Whatever it is that you think would be high value and get people to sign up, you could do that as well. Number 3 is offer a cheaper paid course that fills in the gaps to your talk, and it's more of like an expanded version of your talk. Number 4 is a middle range course that's a new concept, but within the same topic as your expertise. And then number 5, offer a top tier course that includes everything. All right. So it includes your book because physical items give more perceived value along with your course. Offer the course as well. You might offer group coaching. So maybe you have 2 to 3, Skype sessions or Zoom calls or whatever that might be, Google Hangouts, etc. And you could even consider offering a private Facebook group. Now, there are a lot of, there's many different types of top tier courses that you can include. To be honest, a lot of it is about positioning, and it's positioning the value that you're giving and the transformation that they are getting. So don't think that this has to be, a course that's 20 modules long, and each module is, 30 minutes, and it has worksheets, and it has this, and it's going to take them, weeks and months and years to complete. You don't want that. You are after transformation. And so a top tier course isn't a course that is, has everything in it. It's a course that has only the items needed to get that value across and get that transformation for the user to go through. So whatever your top tier course is, be careful of what you include in it because you want the price to justify the value you provide as well as the time you're willing to include in it. So if you're talking about a private Facebook group, just realize that that will have ongoing time for you. So what I would recommend is having maybe it's a 90-day private Facebook group. So they do have access to you for 90 days, but they don't have access to you for the rest of your life. And so if you set those expectations, especially if this is your first time doing a top tier course, then you don't overcommit yourself. And don't price it too cheaply because it could consume all your time. Again, if you're doing group coaching sessions, even if you're thinking about one-on-one coaching, just realize that that will take more of your time and it should increase the rate of the price. Because the goal is really to leverage your time and knowledge, right? Not to have you spend more time, but to have you create this course and have it work for you, not have you be a slave to your course and then to your audience. And of course, we want to serve our audiences, but we don't want to be a slave to the time that it takes to help everybody that needs it. Now, one thing you could do, and this is what I highly recommend when you're thinking about courses, you could on a private page or a public page, it depends on what the purpose is, you could have these courses laid out on your website, and you could have a good, better, best. And that's what I talked about in these, from free to cheaper to middle to top tier. So the, cheapest option might just be, a simple course. The middle range is more complexity. Maybe there's some more bonuses that you offer. And then the top tier course includes a lot more. Maybe your physical book, group coaching, private Facebook group. I've even been in some courses where they have once a year, they have an in-person get together. And to be honest, those are a lot of fun. That's where a lot of the depth comes about. So even be thinking about in-person meetups as well. All right, well, that is all for today. I could have gone on and on. I love talking about how to help speakers leverage their knowledge and use the power of video, of online courses, their website. We could even go in depth on how to leverage your website to sell more, to market better, and to help leverage your knowledge. But that's for another podcast. We'll maybe do that another day. But if you want to learn more about this topic and some marketing secrets of other speakers and course creators, then go to onlinecoursecoach.com/speakers, where I'm giving away some never before released interview segments from speakers like Dan Miller and Tom Ziglar and more. And they talk about some of the marketing strategies that they have used to help better market their courses, because it helps to have an audience, right? Helps to have a platform. But how do you take it to the next level and market it either online and in person, and just how to improve your marketing? So again, go to onlinecoursecoach.com/speakers to download that free audio content. And then again, I gave a few examples of how a speaker can leverage the power of online courses. We talked about 5 there at the end. There are countless others. If you would like to learn more about my coaching packages, about how you can leverage the power of online courses or improve your videos or improve your website, that's exactly what I do. You can email me at jeff@onlinecoursecoach.com, or just go to the website and fill out the contact form at onlinecoursecoach.com. You'll see the contact button there. So let me know how I can help you. Again, I love working with speakers. That is one of my favorite industries just because there's so much knowledge, passion. There's so many, great motivational speakers. And I'm a teacher at heart, and most speakers are great teachers as well. That's why you're doing what you're doing. You're trying to convey the knowledge you have. You're trying to transfer that to your audience so that they can improve their lives. So I want to encourage you to keep it up. Keep up that good work of that speaking, that teaching, and motivating your audience to change lives. Well, that's all for today. Thanks again for listening to the Online Course Coach podcast. Keep coming back for more. Keep listening to more episodes, and let me know how I can help you, whether that's coaching, for your course, improving your videos, or improving your website. And keep listening to the Online Course Coach podcast, where it is really my goal to help you to teach many to impact millions.